Judge Me, the show about the law in real life. I'm Beta Humeka, joined by Andy Leonetti. Hey, Andy.
Hello. To plead guilty, press 2.
Fun little teaser for our topic today, but I'll also introduce our other co-host, Laura Temmie. Hey, Laura.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm afraid I can't do that, Laura.
I'll save my sci-fi stuff for the end of the show.
Laura, stop. What are you doing?
Please don't disconnect me, Dave.
Please.
Okay, so these folks, for those of you who are not quite nerdy enough, are referencing to what 2001: A Space Odyssey, right? Because today we are talking about the actually not that new anymore, apparently, topic of all these AIs, chatbots, all the artificial intelligence, and how we have come a long way from Smarter Child, which I don't know if you guys remember.
No, I don't.
AOL Instant Messenger.
I remember AOL Instant Messenger. I remember putting song lyrics in my away message.
Yes.
But I do not remember Smarter Child.
Maybe you guys had too many friends, but...
No, I promise you I did not.
He was a primitive Y2K chatbot, and maybe one of my only friends on AIM. I was not a popular middle schooler. He would give you, he was kind of entertaining. I had no complaints. He would give you these like automated responses. And I know this AI stuff with the chatbots and the Salvador Dali bots isn't really news anymore. It's been going on since last fall. But I'm not going to lie, it hit me like a bullet train this new year because... So I've been doing this annual blackout where you just go dark from all news and current events, which is supposed to be good for mental health, like taking a break from all the media and current events anxiety. But when you basically work in journalism, that's pretty hard. Yep. So, usually you come back and you haven't really missed anything. But God, this year after vacation, I plugged back in and I finally feel like Will Arnett in Arrested Development. I made a huge mistake. Because people are talking about robot Van Goghs and rapping, and I straight up did not believe it. Folks, listeners, you really have to try it yourself to believe it if you haven't already. So if you've also been living under a rock, listeners, over the holidays like I have, do yourself a favor and try Googling some of these bots for yourself. But good luck getting off the wait list.
It means that since you were in a blackout that you're already a month behind on polishing up your resume like Laura and I have already been doing because these robots are
taking
coming
a
for
jab.
us.
Exactly. They're definitely coming for us in journalism. Other industries, attorneys, they'll at least not come for you first, right?
Probably not.
But we should be real scared. They've infiltrated. They don't just play chess anymore. There really does seem to be an increasing possible threat to just about every sector of the economy. We've already written numerous blogs on FindLaw about how these AIs could affect your life, and we can link them in the show notes too. But all of this is just to say there is so much we could talk about on the topic of various legal issues around AI. What we're covering here today is really just the tip of the iceberg. And remember, this is a super nascent area, so I feel like there's going to be a lot of rapid developments.
This is early days, and
yeah,
it's one of those tech things where once the stuff is honed, then the way it gets better just kind of it goes exponentially, like where it's probably going to be a really fast cascade of like this stuff just getting smarter and smarter and smarter, and either. Hopefully, it all ends up with us just out of jobs and not Terminator and not
like
Terminator
in Wall-E
2.
World, where we just
and not Terminator.
Yeah,
Wall-E, not Terminator. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're getting used for everything. So that is all to say. If y'all listeners are interested in a follow-up episode with more on this topic, anything from the legality of using AI for your college essays to helping it write your own novel. Or for our attorney listeners, for attorneys, what you can and can't use a bot for, or what types of law jobs that we think are safe versus more at risk for a robot takeover. Keeping in mind that we are not programmers, unless you two have been moonlighting and I didn't know about it.
No, I haven't, but I hereby advise college freshmen to use ChatGPT for all of their work.
Oh, man. We are not. That wasn't legal advice. So
Andy's
That's
not
not
a
legal
lawyer,
advice.
so
life advice.
Just a chaos agent.
But we are certainly
Advice.
nowhere, even though some of us are lawyers, we are nowhere near experts on like machine learning.
No.
So this is all very speculative, but do get in touch with us if you want more content on this topic, because we could for sure talk about hours on this.
Because while Dolly was all the rage because it was just type in like, I want to see Eddie Vedder eating a hoagie in New York City in the style of Monet.
You can't use, they have rules.
Right, it would blur. It would have those weird blurry faces.
Oh, yeah.
Because I actually used Eddie Vedder because I'm a big Pearl Jam fan, and yeah, his face always came back really blurry.
Oh, really? Okay, so when I
Yeah.
tried it, I'd be like, hey, Kim Kardashian eating breakfast on a volcano or something. It just linked me. It wouldn't work. It said, no, you are in violation of our rules. And
Oh.
if you go and it links to a rules page, and then you can't use things like, there's all kinds of rules, like, like no porno stuff, but also you can't use public figures, like people by name. And so that is all very interesting in the legal context too, because
Yeah.
for defamation, things like that, but also for like creating photos that don't exist in court. Like you can't just make up evidence
Yeah.
of a human being doing something, like Taylor Swift holding a gun.
Oh my gosh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
See, this is like,
It's so much stuff we could talk about.
we're
for real.
like
we're
creating.
8 minutes into the show, and we've already.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, in my mind. But what I was gonna say is, while Dolly was all the rage months ago, now everyone's talking about ChatGPT, which is a generative chatbot, which is you can ask it like, hey, this is why I was telling college freshmen, be like, hey, ChatGPT, write me 1,000 words on Immanuel Kant because I'm 18
And I can't.
and I don't understand this at all, and these stupid academics expect me to. So why don't you do it for me?
Well, and
That's my axe to grind about college philosophy classes.
Well, and it's like remarkably advanced too, because you can tell it to do things in different styles, like
Very
already-
specifically.
Yeah.
It's already getting better is the thing over the last few months.
yeah. Well, and you can even tell it to like emulate different authors and stuff too. Like I could go in there and be like, write me a poem about a hoagie in the style of like
Yeah.
whoever.
You can ask it to plan a holiday menu, like all sorts of weird crap. And what it's also done now is passed law school.
It passed an exam. It didn't pass law school. It didn't.
Oh,
this
okay,
thing's not
sorry.
walking across the
Sorry.
stage with a cap and gown or anything.
And if anyone else has gone to law school, you'll know that half of the exams are really just a speed typing contest.
Oh, yeah.
So it kind of has a leg up on us. But it's also written a Supreme Court brief that attorneys have kind of been impressed with. I mean, they weren't perfect, but it was still pretty impressive. Like, it's definitely not something that's a final draft, but it's something that could very easily and efficiently be like a first draft that an attorney could then work off of,
Yeah, there's one published in a journal already. A 14-page law article that this law professor wrote, kind of co-wrote with it in an hour. 14 pages in an hour.
Oh, that would have been so helpful on my long paper.
GPT-esque technology is also being used to create contracts. This is stuff that's already been in use for a while. People don't it's in some of those customer service things when you're filling out a form online and it puts language together and things like that. There are companies that are now already like vastly expanding on this kind of technology that can like help users draft, negotiate, summarize contract terms, generate clause language, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because a lot of legal stuff is sort of formulaic and literally just forms. And there's legal services out there like our own, like DIY law that FindLaw has.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's you can go to FindLaw.com right now and build and create an estate plan using forms technology. I would encourage you to do it. In fact,
Promo code time.
In fact, it's a good thing you mentioned this now, Vaidehi, because for about the next week and a half, until February 11th, if you purchase an estate plan on FindLaw.com and you use the promo code NYRES25, that's, New Year's resolution, because everyone's New Year's resolution should be to check their estate plan. You will receive 25% off your order.
Well, exactly. So we've had services like this for a while. They're not totally unheard of, but this guy, Joshua Browder, is taking it to the next level and looking to put all of you attorneys out of business.
Yeah, he's even said that. He's like, I want to put attorneys out of business.
And he says he wants to, his aim is to provide, to make the law free, or legal services free. I don't really know if I buy that, because, why would you invest all of this money into a company and then just have a free service? But to his point, even if he is not likely to make it free, it could potentially be much cheaper than it is right now.
And to an extent, when I was reading this story about his company is Do Not Pay, and he made headlines.
Great name.
It's called Do Not Pay. It's what it has been up to this point. It's kind of a chatbot type feature that helps people, when you have been screwed on a bill or you're not getting your money back for your airline ticket that you need to, and you are dealing with a corporate chatbot that is making you want to pull your hair out. You've now got your own chatbot that can help you get the money back that you are owed. And
I imagine it reads all the terms of service so that you don't have to.
Yeah, and a lot of that is just I've used services before to get me money back, but that's different. This is literally just sitting there and hitting prompts and whatever, and it helps you do it quickly.
And to be fair, I don't know if y'all have ever been to traffic court. I have gotten so many parking tickets in my life, and I can test every single one of them. It's pretty black or white, right? It's not like you have to make an innovative argument and look that far into the details, and it's really narrow cases sometimes. It's pretty much like you're going to get off or you're not, and a robot could basically tell you that. That's not surprising.
His attempt to use Do Not Pay to help a client in traffic court, other lawyers are complaining about it, but for a lot of people, that is their interaction with the legal system.
Yeah,
is going to traffic court.
And they usually do it pro se, which means without an attorney on their own. And that's allowed, but sometimes, sometimes it makes sense because attorneys are expensive. It's not worth fighting a traffic ticket that's less than $100. This could be a good intermediary solution.
Right. And so what he said he was going to do was he was working with a client in an unnamed court in an unnamed state, although Law.com reports that this was going to happen in New York. But the client was essentially going to have an AirPod in their ear, and their phone was going to be basically listening and recording to the questions that the judge asked, and was going to tell him through the AirPod what to say, how to respond. And so he was essentially going to have an AI lawyer in his ear.
And as the founder, his name is Joshua Browder. He's the inventor of the Do Not Pay robot lawyer. And
this guy seems interesting.
Yeah, he's quite young. He's 26, but he's also British, which I only say because they have a different. He's doing law in the United States, but he's British.
Right.
He did go to college here, but he did not go to any law school. So.
No, he clearly in interviews that I was reading this week too, he clearly evinces a don't give a F opinion about the American judicial system.
Does not care because first of all, when he was asked, Andy, you're talking about this whole Bluetooth AirPod coaching thing, that's not allowed, and he knows that, right?
No, yeah, he said what he's exploiting is a hearing aid exception.
Well, he's literally working into a loophole that would just honestly not stand up if he tried to defend it on that in court. But generally, courts have rules of things like no internet or other outside influence allowed into the courtroom. Some courts will have videographers
or no recording devices.
Yes. Generally, courtrooms do not allow these things, but. So do not pay knows that what they're doing is like in violation of courtroom laws, and honestly, I don't know how they have attempted to keep it confidential because it is public record what attorneys work on what cases. So attorneys have, in fact, Andy, right? You can speak more to this, but attorneys have called him out and like.
Yeah, when he's posted about this on Twitter and stuff, attorneys have been like, you could go to jail for this, for unauthorized practice of law, because apparently that's a felony in New York, and if that's where this case
it's serious.
happened.
It's really serious.
And the company's also has another a different ticket, like a speeding ticket case that was supposed to go to Zoom trial, and they were contemplating using like maybe a teleprompter or a synthetic voice, both of which are legal, and Browder knows that too. So these are experiments to him.
Yeah.
It was all going to be kept secret, but what he was saying is, with any luck, if this is successful, the judge would have no idea. But so here's my first question. Here's my question, Vader. You've been in court. You've argued in court before. But put yourself in the shoes of a client representing yourself, and a judge asks you a question, and you stand there for like 30 to 45 seconds to a minute to wait for your little AI thing to give you an answer in your ear. What's a judge going to say? Is a judge going to ask you like, are you all right?
In which case you could argue that you're not fit to stand trial, which might help you. But that's kind of a joke. Okay, that does not answer your question. No, but seriously, like there's so many potential terrible ways this could go down for the client, for the attorney, for just like everybody involved. Like, first of all, you could be found to be in a way, not only violation of like court violations and ethics violations, and you'd get disbarred for things like that, but also even possibly perjury if you are implying that, these are your own words and no one's coaching you, but you're implying that you're just using a hearing aid, but it's actually like an outside coach. Like it might not be perjury. I feel like it's a borderline case. Like there could be an argument made there, but it's definitely in violation of all kinds of rules that the defendant, not just the attorney, could be guilty of. And I think, again, Browder knows this.
Yeah, because someone representing themselves in traffic court isn't going to care about bar association rules.
Yeah, they don't apply.
They have nothing to get like you can't disbar me. I'm just trying to get rid of my traffic ticket.
And another thing is, like, to your point, the types of cases they're taking are super low stakes. So there's a reason why the current robot lawyers are taking very specific cases to court, and it's not just because they're not very complex or boilerplate. It's because of what's at stake. So, like, let's say if you had a slam dunk criminal case that was run-of-the-mill enough for a robot to argue, even then, you're not really going to try that so easily because someone's life or liberty is on the line. And this is reflected in AI in other sectors, notably the self-driving car industry. They start with the less high-stakes situations, like maybe vehicles to deliver packages. They don't have humans in them because naturally we want to be comfortable with the worst-case scenario if something goes wrong, if the car crashes, if you lose your case. So, and also we're going to have the parallel of accountability that we see with self-driving cars. Who can you sue or blame if there's a crash and it's the robot car's fault? And here, who can you hold accountable if you lose your case due to the mistake of your robot lawyer?
Because I'm guessing Do Not Pay, the company is not carrying legal malpractice insurance.
Yeah.
Right. Do you sue the programmer? I mean, like, you can't. A normal human attorney could be sued for either malpractice or ineffective assistance of counsel. Who do you sue if your attorney is a robot?
Right.
The people who programmed him, the attorneys that were consulted, right?
Also, here's something else I just thought of. If you're in there representing yourself, or if you're, I don't know, or if you're a lawyer and you're cheating with this technology, or if I'm just in traffic court trying to do this myself, and the jig is up, and the judge is like, take out that AirPod, and I'm like, no, because I can't. Can I be found in contempt?
Maybe. And then the other issue is that, well, if the judge makes you lose your robo attorney, well, you didn't sign up to, even though you represented yourself as going pro se, you did not actually intend to go pro se, right? You did not, which is basically kind of like you taking the stand on your own almost, right? So if you don't have, if you're all of a sudden without a lawyer, like that's not the agreement that was entered into. So like it is really telling that currently these are sort of deceptive experiments. It's going to be a whole nother world in which regulations change and such that robot attorneys are allowed, in which case you wouldn't have to be deceptive about this. But like all number of court laws, ethics laws, attorney-client privilege laws, confidentiality, evidence laws are all going to have to be changed if we were to allow for like actual.
Because if you're sitting there telling things and this like AI is listening to it and recording everything, like all of a sudden now, like this company has all the details of your legal case too.
Yeah, who is the privilege between? Normally, it's just between the attorney or the law firm and the client themselves. But if this robot is handled by all kinds of people, programmed by all kinds of people, recording all kinds of things, where is that confidentiality?
Oh, man.
Yep. Yeah, so like I said, there are a million more questions that
we should note, too, for our listeners that Joshua Browder has publicly offered to pay any lawyer $1 million to try and do this in front of the United States Supreme Court.
God.
By just... He said, do not pay, will pay any lawyer or person $1 million with an upcoming case in front of the United States Supreme Court to wear AirPods and let our robot lawyer argue the case.
No one is
by
going
repeating
to do that.
exactly
well,
what it says.
Well, you know what? Like, if you're kind of on the brink of retirement and all you have to lose is your
Go out in
license,
a blaze of
$1 million
glory.
isn't bad severance pay.
Yeah.
Let's go, Cass Sunstein.
I do think, getting back to your question a little bit ago, Andy, my biggest issue with this is that just based on my short time that I interned with a state level court, and I mean, I worked with two judges who were both very, very patient people, but I don't foresee a judge letting it slide that someone is like these long pauses that the AI is going to need. Unless this thing can, basically match the conversation speed of a human, I think they're going to have a hard time.
And then the human has to repeat himself once he hears.
Yeah, like I
too.
don't foresee a judge not seeing through this immediately. If you're just standing there, like,
so
with an AirPod
they ask you a question and you don't respond for 20 seconds, like they're gonna know. That's my biggest thing with this.
And then all of a sudden, as the judge is talking, you start holding up your phone.
Right.
Like
you might as well put the 3 little dots on your dang forehead. Like, it's...
Look, this guy's bold, a little half-baked plan right here, I think. I think the real question is, okay, this is obviously probably not going to actually happen deceptively, but the real question should be, in a world where we legalize some kind of AI, whether it's in the courtroom, whether it's on the writing part of it, like the brief writing or filing, what can and what could we actually see robots effectively doing or not, right? And okay
guys, I've been kind of quiet over here because I think it's partially good. By the time this episode comes out, I will be on vacation in California, so I'm more focused on fun right now. And so, this is all getting a little too serious for me. So I want to talk about robot crimes, if you'll allow me.
Like the opposite of RoboCop?
Exactly. As Andy and I were referencing 2001: A Space Odyssey at the top of the show, which is a very old movie, but a very good one if you haven't seen it, and it does involve an AI committing murder. But so I want
at the programming of humans.
Exactly. Well, that's
exactly.
I know. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I want to wildly speculate about whether or not you could convict an AI of a crime. And I wrote about this.
This is reversing it. Now could a human convict an AI of a crime?
We're flipping the script. And I wrote about this a while back after there was news of a chatbot called Lambda that a Google engineer claimed had become sentient. Now, whether or not this thing is actually sentient, I have no idea. I'm not the right person to figure that out. It's
This is not fun, Laura. This
I
is
know.
not fun.
I keep hearing HAL in my
Laura,
head
what are you
from
doing?
2001. I'm afraid I can't let you do that, Dave. But so let's just say, just for funsies, that an AI can become sentient. So let's just say that they can, and then they commit a crime. There's two things that we need to think about. So one, can the actions of the AI meet the requirements of a criminal statute? And the second thing is, even if we can convict it, what do we do about it? So for example,
Ooh, how do we punish
exactly.
it? Yeah.
So for example, if a self-driving car, quote unquote, decides to go 80 where the speed limit is 55, speeding violations don't require intent. You either did it or you didn't. So at least theoretically, you could issue a speeding ticket to a self-driving car because it doesn't require the AI to intend to do it. It could be a malfunction. It doesn't matter. But then what's the deterrent to keep it from happening again? The fine is going to come out of a human's pocket, so what does the AI care? And as we saw with 2001: A Space Odyssey, threatening to take them offline is also a bad idea because you'll end up with a bunch of astronauts outside the airlock.
Yeah, let's not try this off Earth.
Right.
Let's be
It
honest.
essentially has to be death penalty for any crime.
Yeah.
For an
Right.
AI.
Well, you would have to
Okay,
kill
but
it.
no.
It's like Singapore. It's like a Singapore style legal system for like an AI that
Chewing gum, AI go down.
Right.
Okay. But
Yeah.
but like in 2001, the HAL was just doing what he was programmed to do, at least in his head,
Well,
at least through his
right.
logic. So what if you punish the programmers who are responsible for
That would probably be your only option. You'd almost have to do criminal prosecution
supervised
via like
reprogramming.
employer negligence or something. But since we're talking about HAL, let's talk about murder. Like so HAL 9000
Let's go straight there.
intentionally kills several astronauts by disconnecting life support systems, trapping them outside the ship, etc. I haven't seen the movie in a little bit, but I know roughly what happened.
yeah.
Yep.
And so what if I was going to be Hal's attorney, if for some reason someone decided to charge Hal with murder, if I was his attorney, I would definitely be using some like variation of basically the insanity defense, because Hal's motives are a little ambiguous, but like Beatty, you were saying, the general consensus is that Hal kills these astronauts because they were going to take it offline, and that he's programmed to carry out certain directives, and concludes that the astronauts must be eliminated to protect those protocols. So if I were Hal's defense attorney, I would argue that this AI lacked the intent required to convict, because the act was intentional.
Because this is what makes it.
Well, the act was intentional, but the AI can't appreciate that killing astronauts is wrong. It's not a human being. It has no concept of that.
Or even, not even the one aspect is appreciating right and wrong, but another aspect is just the basic scienter requirement. This didn't apply with a speeding ticket. Speeding ticket's basically strict liability. You don't have to know or intend to be speeding, whereas with murder, what makes murder different from manslaughter or other things like that is you have to have this a pretty high bar, not just intend to kill, but like first degree is higher than, it has a higher scienter requirement. It's more granular. And these sorts of scienter requirements, which is just like, to what degree did you intend your actions and know they were wrong?
Here's a question about an AI committing premeditated murder.
Right.
Because like in an AI's, because when we talk about whether something's premeditated or like heat of the moment, in talking about difference between like first and second and manslaughter and things like that, in an AI's mind, if an AI makes that decision in 0.0037 milliseconds, which an AI might say that's an eternity to me. But you could argue, but you would say like, oh, it just decided, or
so.
We need all of our AIs to end up like Data in Star Trek.
Accountability is hard.
It is, but it's something that like I think. And I mean, I'm kind of clowning around a little bit here, but it is something that we need to think about if we're going to insist on creating things that can do all of these different tasks. Like,
And maybe they won't ever, because of the accountability issue, maybe they won't ever be fully independent like attorneys. Like maybe attorneys will still need a babysitter human to supervise them. Kind of like how in a lot of states, like a 2L, like a second year of law school student can get a license to practice in court and represent a client so long as a barred attorney is watching.
I mean, I feel like the more likely...
Skynet was never supposed to become
Go ahead.
Oh my God.
independent.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more likely scenario is attorneys using this as a tool for either preparation or something like that. Like, I feel like that's a lot more likely than someone...
As a tool, not like
right,
an
than someone
attorney.
trying to have a robot attorney. Yeah.
Yeah, they can probably have a robot paralegal to start with, right? Like, and maybe, I don't know if we'll get there one day, but... So like we said, though, there's a million more questions that we don't have time to get to on this episode. But again, write to us if you want to hear our opinions on things. Questions like, will we even need judges in the future? Teaser, I think a robot could replace trial or motion judges.
Yeah, maybe.
And will we one day have robot juries? Teaser, almost certainly not.
And one thing is also certain is that we definitely need humans to create all of the content for FindLaw.com.
Please reach out to us on Instagram at FindLaw Podcast so that we can pass that along to our superiors. And that's all we have for today. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of FindLaw's Don't Judge Me. Please subscribe to, rate, and review our show wherever you listen to podcasts. Check the show notes for related content. And if you'd like to contact us, send us an email at findlawpodcasts@thomsonreuters.com.